The storm is here. Just when we thought the Duttons had survived the worst, 1923 Season 2. Episode 2 proves that their nightmare is only just beginning. The dangers they face are no longer just from their human enemies. Nature itself has turned against them. A brutal winter, vicious predators, and a war brewing in the shadows threaten to destroy everything they've built. And while Jacob and Kara fight to keep the ranch alive, Spencer is caught in a life-or-death struggle across the ocean. His reunion with Alexandra is closer than ever, but fate has one final Titanic-esque twist in store for them. Meanwhile, Donald Whitfield tightens his grip, and a shocking betrayal is about to shake everything to its core. This episode is packed with suspense, heartbreak, and jaw-dropping surprises. So let's break down what's coming next. The Duttons have always battled the elements, but this time, nature isn't just testing them. It's trying to wipe them out. The deadly Montana winter has reached its peak, turning the land into an unforgiving wasteland. The drought has made resources scarce, and now predators are descending on the ranch, desperate and starving. The lion that attacked Elizabeth in the previous episode was just the beginning. Now, a pack of wolves has been spotted circling the ranch, their howls echoing through the night like an omen of doom. Kara is the first to notice them. At first, she dismisses the eerie howls as nothing more than the usual wilderness sounds. But then she sees them. Dark shapes lurking just beyond the tree line, eyes glowing in the moonlight. She grips her rifle tighter, her pulse quickening. She knows what's coming. The Duttons have been through enough, but these wolves aren't just looking for food. They're hunting, and they're getting bolder. Meanwhile, Jacob is facing a different kind of battle. The brutal cold has pushed their cattle to the brink. Many have already died, their frozen bodies littering the land like grim reminders of nature's merciless rule. Those that remain are weak, barely holding on. The ranch hands work tirelessly to keep them alive, but it's a losing fight. The land is no longer providing, and the Duttons are running out of options. Then, disaster strikes. In the dead of night, the wolves make their move. They launch a coordinated attack on the herd, their sharp fangs sinking into the weakened cattle. The ranch hands rush to fight them off, gunshots ringing through the frozen air. But it's chaos. In the confusion, one of the ranchers goes missing. By the time the sun rises, all they find is blood-stained snow. The message is clear. The Duttons are no longer the hunters. They're the hunted. And if that wasn't enough, Donald Whitfield is watching. He sees the Duttons struggling, barely hanging on, and he knows that now is the perfect time to strike. Jacob may have fought him off before, but this time, Whitfield isn't just coming for the ranch, he's coming for the Duttons themselves. While the Duttons are battling the relentless forces of nature, an even deadlier threat looms over them. Donald Whitfield. If Episode 1 made it clear that he is the most ruthless man in Montana, Episode 2 takes his cruelty to terrifying new heights. He isn't just after the ranch anymore. He wants to break the Duttons completely, piece by piece, until there's nothing left of them but dust. Whitfield knows that Jacob and Kara are weak right now, vulnerable in ways they never have been before. The brutal winter, the starving cattle, and the growing fear among the ranch hands have made the Yellowstone ranch more fragile than ever, and he's ready to deliver the final blow. His plan? Strip the Duttons of every ounce of power they have, financially, politically, and even socially. His first move comes during a heated city council meeting where he proposes new land regulations that would make it nearly impossible for struggling ranchers to survive. He doesn't just want the Yellowstone ranch, he wants all of Montana under his thumb. And of course, the only person standing in his way is Jacob Dutton. The confrontation between Jacob and Whitfield is brutal. Jacob, despite his age and injuries, refuses to back down, but Whitfield doesn't play fair. He doesn't need fists or bullets. He has money, influence, and men willing to do the dirty work for him. He smirks as he presents legal documents, proving that he's buying out the land surrounding the Duttons' ranch. If Jacob thought he was fighting one enemy, he was wrong. Whitfield has turned every neighboring rancher into an extension of his empire, leaving the Duttons completely isolated. But that's not the worst part. Just as the meeting is about to end, a shocking revelation shatters the last bit of control Jacob thought he had. One of the women Whitfield has enslaved, a broken, terrified figure, manages to escape and expose his darkest secrets. In front of the entire council, she speaks of the horrors she endured. of the monstrous things Whitfield has done behind closed doors. Gasps fill the room, murmurs spread like wildfire. But Whitfield, he just smiles, because he knows something the Duttons don't. No matter how horrifying the truth is, power always wins. The woman disappears that very night. No one dares to speak of her again. And Jacob realizes with a sinking feeling that Whitfield's power is far greater than he ever imagined. If they want to survive, they need a new strategy. Because right now, the Duttons aren't just losing the battle, they're on the verge of losing the war. While the Duttons are fighting an uphill battle in Montana, halfway across the world, Spencer Dutton is facing his own war, a war against fate itself. If Episode 1 set the stage for his brutal new life, Episode 2 throws him straight into the fire. And this time, there's no easy escape. We last saw Spencer engaged in vicious cage fights on a ship, a stark contrast to the powerful, fearless man we knew from Season 1. Stripped of his freedom, forced to fight for survival, he has become a prisoner in every sense of the word. But if there's one thing we know about Spencer, it's that he is not the type to break easily. If anything, adversity only sharpens his resolve. As Episode 2 unfolds, we see Spencer planning his escape. But it's not just about breaking free, he has to do it smartly without attracting too much attention. The men who run the fights aren't just sailors looking for entertainment. They're dangerous criminals who profit off every drop of blood spilled in that ring. If Spencer makes one wrong move, he won't just lose his chance at freedom, he'll lose his life. The opportunity finally presents itself when Spencer is scheduled for another fight, this time against an opponent who is twice his size and has already killed multiple men in the ring. The crowd is rowdier than ever, placing high bets on Spencer's death. But they underestimate him. They forget that he has fought worse enemies before, lions, poachers, and even his own demons. And in the moment where everyone expects him to fall, Spencer turns the fight around, taking down his opponent in a way no one saw coming. The shock buys him just enough time to act. While the crowd is still processing what they just witnessed, Spencer makes his move, knocking out one of the guards and taking his weapon. Chaos erupts as Spencer fights his way through the ship, dodging bullets, breaking through locked doors, and doing whatever it takes to get to the top deck. The stormy sea stretches before him, wild and unforgiving. But it's his only chance. With no other option, Spencer throws himself into the dark waters, disappearing beneath the waves just as the ship's alarms begin blaring. For a moment, it seems like this might be the end for him. The ocean is no safer than the ship, and the freezing water quickly drains his strength. But then, just as his vision starts to blur, another ship emerges from the mist. A passenger vessel, elegant and massive, making its way through the storm. And Spencer realizes, with a mix of shock and disbelief, that this isn't just any ship. It's Alexandra's. After everything, the separation, the heartbreak, the long and painful road that led them here, fate has brought them back together in the most unexpected way possible. But there's just one problem. Spencer is barely conscious, and the ship is moving fast. He has seconds, maybe less, to act before the opportunity is lost forever. Summoning every last ounce of strength he has, Spencer pushes himself toward the massive vessel, fighting against the violent waves. He reaches for the rope ladder hanging from the side, his fingers slipping against the wet ropes. And just when it seems like he might not make it, another hand reaches down, grabbing his wrist in a firm, desperate grip. It's Alexandra. Their eyes meet for the first time in what feels like an eternity. The wind howls around them, the rain pelts their skin, but in that moment, nothing else matters. Against all odds, they found each other again. But this is no fairy tale ending, because Alexandra isn't just any passenger on this ship. She's engaged to another man, and her family believes Spencer is dead. And now, trapped on a vessel where every eye is watching, they must find a way to be together without tearing everything apart. The ship is a world of its own, a floating palace filled with the wealthy elite, aristocrats who would never accept a man like Spencer among them. Alexandra's fiancé is one of them, wealthy, influential, and completely unaware that the woman he's about to marry is still in love with someone else. But Alexandra doesn't care about any of that. She fought too hard to be reunited with Spencer, and she's not going to let anything or anyone keep them apart again. As the episode progresses, Spencer and Alexandra begin navigating this dangerous game, stealing moments together in hidden corners of the ship, whispering about their next move. But their happiness is short-lived, because Alexandra isn't just carrying a secret love, she's carrying Spencer's child. The revelation shakes them both. Spencer, who has spent his entire life believing he was cursed to lose the people he loved, now has something more to fight for than ever before. And Alexandra, who has always been fearless in her love for Spencer, realizes that this pregnancy changes everything. Because even if they do make it to Montana, even if they escape the watchful eyes of her family and the man she was supposed to marry, there's still one problem neither of them can ignore: Whitfield. Montana is no longer a home. It's a battlefield, and if they return now, they won't just be fighting for their love. They'll be fighting for their lives. As the ship moves closer to America, one thing becomes painfully clear. Spencer and Alexandra's reunion may have been written in the stars, but their story is far from over. The hardest battles are still ahead, and the enemies they face aren't just men with guns. They're forces far greater than they ever imagined. And if they aren't careful, they might lose everything before they even get the chance to fight. While Spencer and Alexandra are navigating their perilous reunion on the high seas back in Montana, the Duttons find themselves facing a different kind of war. One not just against men, but against nature itself. If Whitfield's growing power wasn't enough to shake their hold on the Yellowstone, the land itself seems to be turning against them in ways they never expected. Episode 2 intensifies the chaos, plunging the Duttons into an unforgiving battle against forces beyond their control. The harsh Montana winter has given way to a brutal season of destruction: floods, raging storms, and an increase in predators circling the weakened land. And in the heart of it all, Jacob Dutton stands like a lone wolf, determined to defend his home at any cost. But defending the Yellowstone is no longer just about fighting off wealthy men with greedy hands. It's about surviving the land itself. The first sign of trouble comes when a deadly pack of wolves begins stalking the ranch, more aggressive than ever. It's not just a few strays passing through, it's an entire pack, driven by hunger, desperation, and the natural imbalance caused by the recent disasters. The Yellowstone cattle have become easy prey, and the Duttons are losing livestock at an alarming rate. Every night, the wolves come closer, testing the limits of the ranch's defenses. Jacob, still recovering from the wounds he suffered at the hands of Whitfield's men, refuses to stand by and watch his land be torn apart. But his age is catching up to him, and for the first time, there's a flicker of doubt in his eyes, something his enemies would pounce on in an instant. If he falters, even for a moment, the Yellowstone could fall. But this isn't just Jacob's fight anymore. Kara, ever the pillar of strength, takes charge, organizing the ranch hands and issuing orders with a sharpness that commands attention. She refuses to let the ranch slip through their fingers, not after everything they've sacrificed to keep it. But as the days pass, it becomes clear that they are dealing with more than just hungry predators. Something is off. The wolves aren't acting like they should. They aren't just hunting. They're watching, waiting, almost as if something bigger is driving them toward the ranch. And then, the true horror reveals itself. A new predator has made its way into Yellowstone territory, one far more dangerous than wolves. A grizzly bear, massive and unpredictable, has been driven from its usual hunting grounds by the shifting weather patterns, and now it has set its sights on the Duttons' land. The balance of power in the wild is shifting, and the ranch is caught in the middle. Jack Dutton, still trying to prove himself as a leader, insists on tracking the bear before it can do more damage. He sees this as his moment to step out of Jacob's shadow, to show that he is ready to take on the weight of the Dutton legacy. But what starts as a simple hunt quickly spirals into a nightmare. Jack and a group of ranch hands set out into the thick Montana wilderness, following the trail of destruction left behind by the beast. What they find chills them to the bone: mangled cattle, shredded as if they were nothing, and deep claw marks carved into the trees, warning anyone who dares to come closer. The bear isn't just passing through, it's claiming the land. While the Duttons were busy fighting the land, their enemies were quietly closing in. Armed men on horseback, waiting in the shadows, watching. And now, as the ranch hands return from the hunt, they find themselves walking straight into a trap. Because Whitfield isn't just coming for the land, he's coming for blood. As the Duttons return from their battle against nature, exhaustion clings to them like the Montana cold. But there is no time to rest. The moment they ride back onto their land, they know something is wrong. The ranch is too still. The air is thick with an eerie silence, as if the land itself is holding its breath. Then they see the figures. Dark silhouettes lurking at the edges of the property, waiting like predators about to pounce. Whitfield has made his move. This is no longer a slow, calculated game of pressure and manipulation. This is war. His men are everywhere, armed and ready, their presence a clear message. The Duttons are outnumbered, outgunned, and on the verge of losing everything. Jacob, bloodied but unbowed, doesn't hesitate. With a sharp glance at his family, he knows there's no room for fear. He's fought too hard for too long to let Whitfield steal his home. But this fight isn't just about the land anymore. It's about survival. It's about proving that no amount of money, power, or corruption can break the spirit of a Dutton. Kara, standing firm beside him, grips her shotgun, her expression one of cold determination. Jack and the remaining ranch hands tighten their hold on their weapons, their eyes filled with the fire of men ready to fight for their very existence. The battle begins not with a declaration, not with a warning, but with the crack of a gunshot that shatters the silence like lightning splitting the sky. Bullets tear through the night as the ranch erupts into chaos. The Duttons take cover, returning fire with everything they have, but Whitfield's men are relentless, advancing with merciless precision. Barns are set ablaze, flames licking hungrily at the sky, casting an ominous glow over the battlefield. The scent of gunpowder and burning wood fills the air as the once proud Yellowstone ranch is turned into a war zone. Jack fights with the reckless fury of a man who has seen too much too soon, proving that despite his youth, he carries the same unbreakable will as his ancestors. Jacob, though battered, fights with the wisdom of experience, knowing that brute strength alone won't win this war. But just when it seems the Duttons are being pushed to their breaking point, the unexpected happens. A group of riders emerges from the darkness, charging into the chaos like spirits of vengeance. It's the neighboring ranchers, men who may not always see eye to eye with the Duttons, but understand that if Whitfield takes the Yellowstone, no land is safe. They throw themselves into the fight, evening the odds, turning the tide just enough to give the Duttons a fighting chance. The battle rages on, fierce and unforgiving, until at last the dust begins to settle, and the men Whitfield sent start to fall back, retreating into the night like wounded animals. But this isn't a victory, not yet. Whitfield himself is nowhere to be seen, and that means only one thing. This was just a test, a taste of what's to come. He wanted to see how far the Duttons would go, how hard they would fight, how much they were willing to sacrifice. And now he has his answer. As the fires smolder and the ranch stands battered but unbroken, Jacob looks out over his land, knowing the fight is far from over. The real war is still ahead. Whitfield isn't done. The law won't save them. The only way to survive is to do what the Duttons have always done. Stand their ground no matter the cost. Because in the end, the Yellowstone isn't just land. It's legacy. It's blood. And if Whitfield wants it, he'll have to burn in hell before he ever takes it. Alexandra's pregnancy remains a fragile hope in the midst of chaos. Spencer is still fighting his own battle to return home, and Whitfield has only just begun his ruthless campaign to seize the Dutton legacy. Will Spencer make it back in time to save his family, or will fate keep him stranded in his own personal war? Can Jacob and Kara hold the ranch together when their enemies are closing in from all sides? And with Jack stepping further into his grandfather's boots, will he become the leader the Duttons desperately need, or will he be the next to fall? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think will happen next in 1923 Season 2? Who do you believe will survive this storm? Share your thoughts in the comments section and subscribe our channel for more 1923 Season 2 updates. Thank you.